it going.
Well, I don't know why I'm listening tonight. I got a feeling that the cards just ain't right. I'm so salty, must not give in to rage. And I'm wondering what those rollers will say. Scarves to the left of me, cheaters to the right. Here I am, gonna roll a derby tonight. Gonna roll a derby tonight. Gonna roll a derby tonight.
G'day everybody, and welcome to the 20th episode of the Hidden City Roller Derby. I am your host Simcof, and joining me tonight is Merlin, the rightful wizard of Australia. How are you, sir?
Doing all right.
Has been beset by the plague, but he's fighting healthy tonight for
I think
the
he
podcast.
picked up whatever Johnny Shen had.
I was hit with a Scorpion Clan poison of some description.
and also after a return from his United States trip and a bit of absenteeism for the podcast, welcome back, Tori.
Thanks for having me again. It feels a little weird. It feels a bit like I'm an outsider, but no, I'm glad to be back. I'm excited for this episode because we are actually stepping up our game. We landed a pretty big fish for a lo-fi podcast. We've actually got a special guest who's going to come up later, don't we?
We do, but let's build a bit of tension and maybe talk about a few other things, and who knows, it could be anybody. We might have Barack Obama on the podcast. It might be.
Oh, crap.
Imagine if we pulled that off. Mark Maron did it, and we're doing it too.
I reckon we could, man. You know, the sky's the limit for this cast.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've got a much better guest anyway. So, you guys
It's the
been
Barack
playing?
Obama of L5R.
You guys been flinging any cardboard lately? Virtual or physical?
Do you want to go, Merlin?
Sure. Yeah, I've been playing a little bit. Not too much, right? I think after Worlds, there was a whole lot of playing cards leading up to Worlds, so I took a bit of a break. But this weekend, I went into one of our friendly local game store tournaments. Phoenix.
Yeah, Merlin, you've got a bit of a... Looks like Merlin's got some microphone issues, but we did go to Top Deck Games out in Sunshine in Victoria. Sunshine's a place and a state of mind. Yeah, it was a great little tournament. I think it was a season 2 kit.
So I think every single game that was played was won by dishonoring out the opponent. Am I right?
Yeah, I think it was all backhanded compliments.
Yeah.
That's been the absolute card since I've been... I guess after Worlds, everyone kind of wants to lay low and just play jank. That's certainly the mantra that I've been sticking to.
You're saying that it's jank?
No, I think the card's really good. And I'm glad that a lot of different clans can play it reasonably now, because it means that like the days of everyone just mashing 5 are kind of behind us. Like, bidding's actually becoming a bit more interesting, but I've been loving the jank. The other night we went to Casa, I don't know what's his house name now, Kuden Christoph, and I looked over and I saw our illustrious host Simcof playing Void Fist in Scorpion, and then I looked over and saw the Imperial Librarian in Jay's deck, and I'm like,
oh, mate, it's great. Yeah. Hey, look, I was void fisting to victory at that tournament on the weekend, man. I mean, it wasn't a big tournament or anything, but I tell you what, Void Fist and Hurricane Punch, they're the new big cards to Scorpion. I'll tell you that now.
Well, there's nothing left to prove afterwards, is there? You're just playing to have fun, right?
I've been basking in the afterglow, man. I had such a fucking great time. Like,
what an amazing
the whole
trip,
tournament.
right?
Yeah. And so I've just been relaxing. It's been great, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of just put a deck together just, to just a quick deck, I guess. But what I'm kind of looking forward to now is trying out all of the things that you don't really get to try when you're preparing for events and things like that. So CanCon's coming up. So between now and when I start to prepare for CanCon, I'm going to be playing crazy shit like Phoenix Monks or, I don't know, Ring Control. Who knows?
And what was it that you played on the weekend? What was the basic deck for our listeners?
So it was a Dishonor mill style deck. So lots of oracles, and who's the Imperial guy that makes you draw cards?
Seppin Truthseeker.
That's the one. Seeking the truth, trying to get people to draw as much of their deck as possible, and then going for a Dishonor victory. And I think, to be honest, it kind of worked, but I think it mostly just caught people by surprise. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
because when I played you, Ben, you were prepared for it, and you were just having none of it.
I think I also got a pretty good draw. You know what? I think all of the karma from Worlds, which is such a wonderful experience, everybody was wonderful. The whole tournament was fantastic. Everything about it was just amazing. Community building, etc. So I took all that karma and I won a local store tournament.
You took your top 32 playmat and laid the smack down.
Laid the smack down. It was a 3-round, 5-player tournament. Like, just top tier, top player.
Dude, you can only beat who they put in front of you, man. That's a premier event. That's FFG
Premier.
supported event, my friend.
But you know
Correct.
what? Unlike Kote's, this store event had a winner.
Right, yeah. Wow, that didn't take us long.
Just saying.
By the way, FFG, if you're listening, if you want to throw us some spoilers, we're a big fan of you and the games you make. Brad and Tyler, yeah, shout out to us.
Yeah, they don't listen to this podcast. Okay. No, so yeah, I think it was a fun tournament, and I think like watching people roll really, really low was fantastic. I was playing against Jay, who was playing a crab deck, just Crabacorn, but it's got Fight On now. Fight On's really, really good. It was a 4-turn game, and the biggest character he got out was like a 1. Oh no, on turn 4 he brought out Shrewd Yasuki, but apart from that, like, things were so desperate and he was rolling so low. He had his Heater Guardian with a Watch Commander, a Reprieve, loading up with Spyglasses. That was his anchor.
That's dice, right?
That was his
He's a
anchor.
guardian. He can't even buff himself.
Yeah. So, all this great karma. Worlds was fantastic. And I think the cherry on the pie, on the top of the pie, the icing on the cake for Worlds for me, was seeing such an amazingly well-deserved champion just take the cup down, take the glory, and do it for Crane. Nobody thought that Crane, or at least nobody that I talked to, thought that Crane was the favourite or even could win Worlds based on
I
that.
thought they couldn't win. I had counted them out along with Lion and maybe Unicorn.
Yeah. But I guess what we didn't count on? We didn't count on the new world champion, Erik, who's in studio today. Well, joining us from the Netherlands. Are you there, Erik?
Yeah, hello.
Hey, mate, welcome to the pod.
Thanks. Thanks for inviting me.
So last time we were hanging out was after the glorious game completed, and we were drinking at Joe Sense's bar. And I'm pretty sure that I was ranting at you, Erik, for about 10 minutes, and I may have taken credit for your win at some point. Like I was a few tequilas deep, but yeah. What did you think of? Let's start at the top of the list. Let's start asking you questions. How did you come up to the decision to come to Worlds? Because I know for us it was a couple $1,000 minimum to kind of get over there.
Sure.
You play a lot of L5R, or?
Yeah, I played a lot, and I think for me it was about 1,000 or a bit more euros. But during the year, I inherited some money, and I thought it would be a great purpose to have fun with it.
And fun you
Well,
did.
paid off, man. In hindsight, it's got to feel pretty good to take the trophy back home.
Yeah, it's really great, and they're paying my ticket for next year as well, so it's kind of double.
Oh, wow.
doubles.
So you get to come back and defend.
That's amazing.
Well, I think
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's maybe the best prize, maybe.
Yeah, I think after that experience, I'm very keen to come back. And man, getting a plane ticket is pretty phenomenal. We had
So you're-
yeah.
Eric, are you a Crane diehard? Were you always a Crane player, and did you play Old 5R? Or was it just a decision you stuck to them from the new game?
So I didn't play the old game. I never heard about it until I was playing the new game, and I didn't plan to really be loyal to any clan. But I started with the Crane, and I just stuck ever since. And now I definitely will be loyal to the Crane for life.
Is there anything in particular about Crane that like appeals to you?
I think mostly it's the other Cranes, like the community that we have, that keeps me there. But I also think the deck is a lot of fun. I think you have a lot of options. There's maybe not really super powerful stuff that some of the other clans have, but there's a lot of answers and a lot of different ways to play, I think.
So when you're talking about the community, right? Are you talking about your local play group in the Netherlands, or are there people like on Discord or Facebook? Like how do you talk to other Cranes and come up with strategies to win?
It's mostly Discord. It's mostly the Crane chat, but also, I mean, locally I have a pretty good scene, but there's still only, I think, 2 or 3 real Crane players. So, but at Kotais, it's really great to meet the other Cranes as well.
Is it a big scene in Netherlands? Like, where you? I don't know the geography of Netherlands. I'm not sure where you are, but in your local scene, is there a lot of players, or is it? What's the scene down there like?
So for the store tournaments, we get about 12 to 16, I think.
Oh wow!
And yeah, there's weekly play close to my house, and also in a different town, which is like 30 minutes away. So I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, that sounds amazing, because we live in a city with 4 million people, and we get about that as well, unless it's a big, like Kotai or a Elemental Championship or something. Speaking about your deck, how far out did you decide on your deck? Because I know we had to submit early, and were you testing different splashes and restricted cards? Because your splash and your choice of restricted card, I thought was really interesting. I thought it was a good meta decision. Did you want to go into that a bit?
So for myself, I set a deadline for deciding the final deck, I think a week or a week and a half before the deadline for actually sending them in, so that I could get enough games with it and not make last minute changes.
Yep.
And I did test a lot of different things. I think a lot of Crane builds were like really good. You could splash Scorpion, maybe even Unicorn, and then in Dragon you can play Fury or Policy Debate. I think they were all valid options, so there was a lot of choice there.
What do you think with Fury? Because I think your list had 3 Let Goes, 2 Furies was the splash. And it speaks to the power and importance of Let Go in the environment at Worlds, that you need 3 of them and you chew up one of your restricted cards. But I think it was a great decision. During the actual field of play, was it day 1A you were in? And then throughout day 2, was Fury an important card for you? Do you have any regrets about the deck, or do you think in hindsight it was pretty much what you wanted?
I wouldn't change anything about the deck if I could go back. So in that sense, it was good. And the Fury did really well for me. I think it definitely won some games.
I was standing up front with Brad Eamon after your game that was streamed on stream, where you double Furied his Kenku turn 1, and he was spewing. He was smoking his cigarette, and he was quite irate about it. And he said to me, as soon as that move happened, I knew I was cooked, but I had to play out the game. And we both kind of laughed about it.
Yeah.
That must have felt pretty good.
Yeah, that was fortunate. I was supposed to have the 2 Furies, but it really paid off. And if I have 2 Policy Debates in that position, then it's a very hard game, I think.
Yep. And was that decision, Fury, in my eyes, was always good for Crane against Dragon, and maybe even in the mirror match, it's quite good. Is that the main deck you were using it for, or did you just feel it was good against Crab, good against Dragon, your harder matchups?
So I felt I kind of had to play Let Go to stand a chance against Dragon. I think the Scorpion Splash is actually a lot worse against them if your Dragon opponent has a good idea of what they're doing. And so the the other cards are kind of just filling out the Dragon Splash, and I found that none of the cards were really. I didn't want any of them in my deck besides Fury. So yeah, it was kind of the only option.
Cool.
Was anybody else running Fury in the World Championships? Does anybody recall?
I didn't see any others. To me, it's like it was probably the third most chosen, right? Like Forged Edict and Policy Debate seem to be the two more popular ones, but I don't have stats.
The only deck that I saw Fury in the whole weekend was Eric's. Did you see, Eric, any other Cranes that took Fury?
I've talked to a few. There was definitely at least one other Crane that was playing Fury. Yeah.
Okay, because that seems like the standout card in your deck that seemed to give you the edge, right?
Yeah, it really did a lot of work, and I think maybe before Worlds, I think Fury was definitely underrated, and Policy Debate was overrated. Like, I don't think that card is all that good.
Yeah, of all of the restricted list cards, that seems to be the one that gets the least play, in my opinion. Do you think it'll come off the restricted list when they update that in a couple of weeks?
No, I don't think so. They won't. They don't want all the clans running Policy Debate again.
I hope it doesn't.
Just put on there for good
fucking
reason.
sanity. All right, so going into Worlds, you came up with the deck, you chose the splash, assessing the meta, like predicting the meta. My first question is, did what you think the meta would be, was that reality? And also, did you think that Crane had a reasonable shot? Because I don't know, from Ben and I, we were in a bunker in Hollywood discussing it, and we thought Crane had no hope at beating Dragon, so we just assumed. Yeah, we were very wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I did think it was like 40-60 at best for Crane against Dragon, and I didn't really think that Crane had any chance to win the whole event.
So you had that semi-final, right?
What was the other question?
The other question was, how was your assessment of what the meta would be like?
Oh, yeah.
Did that match up with reality?
I was expecting a lot of Scorpions, which I think was accurate, and a lot of Cranes, which I think were the most represented clans. So that was accurate. Besides that, I mean, there were some really weird decks, right, that I definitely didn't see coming. I don't think anyone did.
What about Pintor's deck? He was the people's champ, and as soon as I got knocked out, I wanted him to win just because of his crazy deck.
Yeah, I didn't get to play against him at all, unfortunately, but it looked really fun and innovative, and he did really well with it, so I think that's very impressive.
I noticed your semi-final against Kingsley, a very well-noted Dragon player. What do you think gave you the edge there? That seemed like it was a very tight match.
Yeah, so I don't remember everything completely, but I think I got a scout on turn 1, and we had open deck lists at that point, so I knew he didn't have any assassination. So I was able to just put 2 Fate on it without concern. And then I think, honestly, he put a lot of attachments on the Crab Skirmisher 1 cost. And then I was able to Fury that at some point, and the attachments didn't really pay off at all. So I think there were also some better lines available for him.
Yeah. Well, look, I know there was a big crowd around, and there was, when you managed to finally win that game, there was a bit of a roar. I was sitting in the stands watching the streaming game, and your game was, for those that didn't go to Worlds, there was like the little mothership where all the streaming and the cameras were, and the other semi-final, which was Eric's, was taking place behind there, and we all heard, the big roar as everyone was shouting in kind of amazement and support and just cheering for Erik. So that was a big game, very exciting game. So I think Merlin, did you say there was a few questions that people posted up on Facebook for the People's Champion?
Yeah, we had quite a bit of people asking questions for you, Erik. So I guess we'll just go through them in no particular order. But Evan Gibbs, who was top Phoenix on day 1A, would like to know how you're faring with all the attention. when you got
It's
back
so good, honestly, so far. It's only good attention, so it's really nice.
Does everybody call you Shogun?
Yeah, they do. I went to my game shop last week, and the owner was telling everyone that Shogun arrived. So,
So was it a bit of a hero's welcome at home then? When you got home, everyone
yeah.
was pretty happy that you won.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you have training partners at home? Like, were there people that at home that you had your local play group that helped you? You feel like being able to play a lot with them helped you get the experience needed to win?
Definitely, yeah. We didn't really meet specifically to train, but I play a lot with them, and I think the paper games help a lot with getting a different perspective and remembering all the things that you have to do in paper but not online.
That's a really good point, and it's something that I think the online community, at least the hardcores, have kind of dismissed a bit. Is drilling in live games of L5R, and I've always thought that like Jigoku is a very, very great emulator for L5R, but it's not perfect. And so it's interesting for me to hear you say that was super important for you. Was doing both, right? You get the reps online, but you're testing in person, right?
I think it's definitely a big.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, is any particular players or game stores or anything that you wanted to shout out that you think were really helpful for you? That you wanted to thank?
Sure. Shout out to Friends and Foes Amsterdam for being my home shop. Always welcoming, great drinks, very cheap. I'm not gonna name all my local players. There's too many of them, so sorry. I would like to thank all of them for the games.
Hashtag all the local players.
Local.
Thanks for that. Ronnie Sutu would like to know what your rankings are, for, like most easy to most difficult matchups. You reckon you could give us like a 1 through 7 from
why don't we just do 1 through 3?
Hardest is definitely Dragon. They just have insane actions on all their cards at a really brutal province row. And then second would be Phoenix. I think they can go really fast with supernatural storms, and a lot of them are playing 1x Karmic Twist again, which is really, really bad for Crane. And then obviously if they get a Kanjo out at any point or Tadaka, then I just die.
I wonder. I often wonder if Tadaka's going to go on the restricted list.
So Erik, your deck, the splash you chose, it seems much less resilient to Tadaka, as opposed to the the Scorpion splash variant, where you have ways to kill him out of conflicts like Nobsack and stuff. Was that a conscious choice to say, all right, I'm going to give up a little ground in my Phoenix match to get a better chance against top dog in Dragon?
Yeah, it is. I think Fury is probably at its worst in that matchup as well. But I think even if you splash Scorpion, you can Fate Worse and Death him once. But I think you're still not going to win the game probably if they can stabilize and get him out. So I chose to splash this instead to try and win before he shows up, basically.
Cool.
All right.
After that, I'm not too sure. I think the rest is about equal, probably.
Cool. Thomas Vanderberg would like to know what would it take to make Honor a viable main win condition, and would you ever consider an Honor deck over a Conquest deck? I'm guessing in competitive play.
All right. So Thomas is a local player who tries to make a Lion Honor deck every cycle. And it worked that well so far.
I suspected something.
Shout out to you, Thomas.
What would it take to make it viable? I think it's kind of obvious maybe, but I think you just need ways to get Honor, really. Because most of the things that are in the game currently, I think, are about stealing Honor. So it doesn't really make sense to get an Honor deck with that, because it's easier to bring them to 0. So I think some things like reverse Watch Commander or reverse Scorpio Stronghold or something like that.
I like
Yeah, I
reverse.
always find-
Reverse Watch Commander sounds amazing.
I always find it difficult to justify playing honor or dishonor decks in competitive play because you have to outright win inside the time limit. So it doesn't really give you a whole lot of play if you go to time.
Yeah, that's true. You'll have to be fast.
Shay, our good friend from the Jaded Throne, would like to know: are you on Team Cat or Team Dog?
100%
Do you know what
cat.
he's referring? Do you know what he's referring
Team Cat.
No, I don't. I thought we were talking about cats and dogs.
Shay would be very disappointed. I think Shay's trying to get a character in the game that is a dog.
Oh yeah.
Like you know how they're having the current creator card competition. He's lobbying for people to vote for a dog if it ever comes up as an option. Because I'm pretty sure there used to be animals in the old game, dogs and
Moto War
elephants.
Dog.
That's it. Yeah.
Tigers. There was like a stalking tiger. There was a hunting tiger as well.
Yeah. So Team Cat, you heard it here, Shay. Do you know a guy called Daniel Schroeder?
That's Schroeds. He's a
Yeah.
Yeah. He wants to know who your favorite opponent was and why was it him?
So before the round that I played against him, this was on day 2.
Mhm.
The round before that, I won my match fairly quickly, and then a couple of my friends lost in kind of bad ways, like didn't remember to trigger their mark of shame, or
Oh no.
time ran out and their opponent didn't really just like stop doing anything after 65 minutes, so they won on tiebreakers 10 minutes later. So I was feeling a little bit like on guard about that, and really trying to remember all my triggers. And then we sat down, and he was really friendly, and he made it clear from the start that it was not going to be that kind of game. So that was very nice.
Now, is he the crab player that plays with legitimate real spyglasses?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I looked over. I was sitting at the other table, and I see a Satoshi with like 12 attachments and 2 actual spyglasses, one in each hand. It was fucking great.
It was great to meet Schroeds. He was a fantastic dude. A lot of fun and real spyglasses. Yeah. That's a tip for like people who are all high on luxury tokens, which I think are great. Pimping out their sets, but think about actual spyglasses. Look at your cards, find out what they are, and just bring a real version of them. Like,
yeah, bring an actual Jade Tetsubo to threaten your opponent with when he
There was a guy, I don't know if you guys remember, but at the Melbourne Kote, there was a guy that was handing out little pieces of jade to put on as his finger of jade. I think Rob ended up with a couple.
Yeah, he gave some to me. I played him.
That's cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Frotop would like to know, what is your favorite liqueur to leisurely drink, and what is your favorite to shoot?
Favorite to drink, whiskey, I guess, and shoot. I don't know. I really have a distaste for the normal shooting things. I guess something with cinnamon would be alright, like Gold Strike.
I'll tell you what you shouldn't shoot, and nobody should ever shoot. Is this horrible shit called bramble mint, and it just should never be touched. Thanks, Frotop, for that experience I'll never forget.
So speaking of the drinks after the final day, you had the opportunity to sample the good old clan drink called "To Do What We Must." What did you think? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
What did you think of that?
It was nice. It was good.
Did you?
Very nice color.
Was it blue?
It was blue.
Yeah.
For people that don't know, there's a book of clan themed drinks that was sort of about the place for old kotes and things like that. The Crane To Do What We Must is a combination of vodka, blue curacao, white cranberry juice, and lime juice.
That was a pretty serious drink.
That is a boozy.
I think you sorted me out with Kachiko's Kiss.
Kachiko's Kiss, that's right.
Yeah, that was great. That was delicious.
That was an expensive night.
God, it was intense.
Alex Jacobs had a bunch of questions, so I've kind of just chopped it up and we'll just ask a couple. I think you've already answered the question about how to become a Crane player, but did you answer what do you think Crane's biggest weakness is, and how do you think Dragon can exploit it?
Biggest weakness is late game, I think. We don't really have any super good characters. Like, I guess the best one is Yoshi, but you have to have the favor or he's just stats. So I think the way Dragon can exploit that is by flipping Mitsu and then putting 4 or 5 fate on him. And then he can just defend your stronghold every single conflict.
That sounds like every clan ever, all right? Like, Dragon just needs to put 7 fate on Mitsu, and that's it.
Don't remind me about the 7 fate Mitsu.
Yeah, isn't that
I
right?
fucking got
Nightmares
knocked
there.
out.
Nightmares in Toreadory.
5 fires that.
I think.
I need
Didn't
15
you say
fires, man.
Yeah, 15 fires. So does it? If you win Worlds next year, Toreadory, is that the cards you want? Consumed by 15 fires.
Yep, it'll cost 14 fate, and it will
Yep.
do exactly what consumed by 5 fires does times 3.
It'll be fate efficient because it costs 1 less.
Yeah, exactly.
Consumed by...
I've already got Johnny Shen's approval, and he's the guy you need to talk to about finances in game. So he's sort of
Legit investment banking Scorpion.
Can we talk a bit about the actual final match?
Yeah, man.
Should we get stuck into
Can
it?
you-
Are we ready?
Eric, before that
Yeah.
match starts, right? You've got like probably, I don't know, 20 minutes between beating Kingsley and starting that match. Were you nervous? Were you like, oh my god, I'm going to be streamed around the world as a huge match? Or were you cool as a cucumber, just didn't care? You're like, let's start this thing.
No, I was good to go. I'd been on the stream twice already, which was helpful, I think.
Ah, yeah.
And then I had about 10 minutes before the game, so I went to get a drink. I talked to some people, and then I went to the area on time. So, no, it was chill.
I like the moment early in the game where you got out some ghost stones from your bag to do honor. Like you hadn't brought them into play yet. I'm like, man, it's Crane v Scorp. You got to be prepared.
Yeah, I just got them from Riley by Mittens. I was playing with paper tokens before on stream, and so he gave me some ghost stones.
Yeah, you can't show up on stream with paper tokens. It's like going to a wedding in shorts. You just can't do it.
You put in your formal, the good.
I've got a question for you. Prior to the game, I know you probably played Shen a lot online because he's a serious grinder on the internet, and he's a very, very tough opponent, and he's a specialist like yourself in his clan. So, did you think that Crane had a good shot against Scorp, especially your list against his? And in terms of the player, did you look for anything in his play that you wanted to exploit, or did you just know it was going to be tough? And what did you think about it?
So out of all the matchups, I was quite happy to get a Scorpion. I had Dragon, Phoenix, Dragon before that, which are harder matches, I think. And then Shed is really good. So, I was not expecting to win or anything like that. I think all Crane decks are pretty good against Scorpion just because of Guest of Honor. And Let Go is extra nice because if they find clouds, you can just let them go.
Spoiler alert, Guest of Honor played no part in you beating Scorpion at Worlds, which is pretty fucking amazing in and of itself. So that game, we were sitting in the rafters just watching, all three of us actually, and we were listening to the commentary on stream. And from my perspective as an outsider, I think I told you this after the actual final concluded. It looked really rough. I think it was turn 2 where he did a Fate Worse Than Death into Void Ring. And he was kind of like obliterating your board. He was mashing Void Ring a lot. And I was watching that thinking, man, this is looking rough for Erik. And you had to expend a lot of Way of the Cranes. Did you feel under pressure? Because I think I asked you this question, but I'm curious to hear if you have any revised thoughts about it. Because to me, I would have cracked under that pressure, man. I would have fucking thrown my deck in the air.
So there was 2 moments in the game where I was really feeling bad about it, which is when he flipped the Hidden Moon Dojo in the middle on turn 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
rough.
brutal.
Yeah, that definitely felt bad. And then I think the turns after that, I was feeling alright because he wasn't really making progress to actually winning the game. Like, I had enough honor to be safe, and he didn't get any breaks, so that seemed fine to me. I wasn't really feeling behind that whole time. And then in the final turn when he played the Kachiko, I thought I must be dead because otherwise he wouldn't play her.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think something that Toreadory talked about a lot, that Kachiko is the closer in Scorpion. It's very rare that you'll see the sort of top tier Scorpion plans play Kachiko at any other time apart from when they realise they've seen victory. They're like, all right, now's the time to drop Kachiko. It's time to finish the game. So it's rare you'll see Kachiko played early. So I can imagine that you're probably worried thinking that Johnny's got this.
So
Yeah, definitely.
what was the game plan then? So he definitely got some advantage early on, but you realized that he wasn't progressing towards his victory condition. So what was your game plan at that point then? Like, how did you intend to navigate your way to victory?
So it turned out that the Hidden Moon Dojo was on Upholding Authority, which was I think Anil told me later that he thought that was the best one it could have flipped on for me, but during the game it felt really bad because I just couldn't break it with I think I had 3 court games and 3 for shame or something like that.
I think you had 3 Voice of Honors at one point.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, if he breaks this. So there was a conflict there that I looked over and I saw Pintor like yelling at Tyler about where you were both playing cards to try and lower your own skill. Did you want to talk about that for a minute?
Insane conflict I've ever seen.
Yeah, so that was one of the clear mistakes that I made in the finals. I was attacking with the challenger with a katana for 5 on the Upholding Authority, but I couldn't afford to break it at that point because he would see my hand discard 2 or 3 great cards, and I think I would have lost from there. So that was an Ignoble Enforcers on a province next to the dojo, and in my mind they were already in play because he could play them at any moment. So I was planning to pull them in, but I couldn't, obviously.
Right, I see. What is your feeling generally about provinces like that? Because you see that with Feast or Famine as well. Those are, I think, the only 2 where like both players are trying to lose the conflict. Does that feel weird to you?
I guess it's a bit silly, but I don't mind it that much. I think well, let me say I think Upholding Authority is a fine province. I don't want to say that about Feast or Famine.
Right. And after that conflict, I think you had to expend your 3rd let go on your own katana. At that point, the casters, Anil and Fro, made it pretty clear to all of us that was the last let go, and therefore Guest of Honor was probably not going to play a part in the rest of the game. How did you feel about your prospects of closing out the game, given that Guest was probably going to get clouded as soon as she hit the table? Did you feel like you had enough oomph? And also, I wanted to ask you, there were no breaks, I believe, at any point in the game. Did you always see Dishonor as your primary win condition in that matchup?
I think going in at the start of the game, the plan is definitely to break his provinces, and I never really planned to win by Dishonor until it happened. Like, I think it's just too hard with the Scorpion Stronghold. So my plan was to kind of outlast him on the board and have more fate, and then hopefully at some point take the favor away from him so his censures are not on anymore. And then start breaking stuff. That was the plan.
Right. I think there was a turn there where you were both on about 2 or 3 honor, and you may have 1 dishonored guy, I think. This is all from memory, but you flopped Callow Delegate. And that was like just an instant buy, right? You buy him for no fate, and he keeps you afloat for at least another point of honor. Was that card important in your games throughout the tournament?
I think it was just that game, honestly.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that good.
So I think the other big moment in that game, apart from you claiming victory, was the very infamous cunning magistrate throw play. So for those of you who haven't watched the stream, go and watch the stream. I think you just go to twitch.tv and search for FFG Live, and you'll be able to see it. But there was a key conflict where Johnny Shen put a cunning magistrate into play whilst he had a dishonored goblin sneak, which he thought was going to get him enough force to put him in front of the conflict, but he forgot that, I guess, cunning also affects his own characters. What was going through your head when he played cunning magistrate? Did you think it was part of a bigger cunning plan, or did you think it was an error immediately when he did it?
I didn't realize immediately that it was a mistake. Like, I thought he would play what's it called, the -2/-2 character from his province with Hidden Moon Dojo. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then so he played it, and then we had the large dice on the side for the game, and the judge moved it to 7, and I thought, like, am I missing something, or it should be 4, right? So I waited for a second, and then I asked about the dice, and I was right, it should be 4. And then it was clear that it was a mistake. Like, he made it clear as well. So
yeah,
I didn't see it immediately.
That conflict, I think it was Voidering, I believe, and it was a pretty crucial one because you had a guy with 1 fate who was pretty towered up, and you guys both spent a lot of cards, and so that did feel like a turning point. Something that I think we discussed after the game at the bar, Erik, was how players like react to making mistakes. Because I know you, I think you admitted to me after the game that the turn you played a Fury on a Chud, and then Shen used Hidden Moon Dojo to just play another guy into the conflict. That was an expenditure of your restricted card, and that was like a clear mistake. But you, from then on, just seemed to steel yourself and just deal with it. Did you think that Johnny Shen played differently after he played the Cunning Magistrate? And did you feel the game turning? Like, could you feel it in the middle of it, or was it something that you had to look at after?
I can't really speak for Johnny Shan, but I think that did affect him. I think it was a bigger mistake as well. Like, it was more costly. But yeah, I guess almost every game you will make some mistakes, whether you realize them or not. And if you do see them, it is important to not let it affect your play.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to advise people to do that, but you have to try, I guess.
Cool.
Do you do any meditation or anything like that? Because I know for me, I could definitely use a dose of that in my life. When I'm on Jigoku, I scoot pretty quick if things aren't going well.
Not really. Like, not coordinated or anything. But before every game, at least on day 2, I try to take 5 minutes without talking to anyone and just think about, the plan and the matchup and things like that.
That's really interesting. That sounds like a pretty good ritual. I like that.
All right. So we're getting right towards the end of the match. You finally seal a deal. You win the game. Was it a sense of relief? Was it joy? Like, how did it feel to realize that you were the best player in the entire world for Legend of the Five Rings for that one moment?
I was really happy about it. I don't think it really showed. I just went to clear out my stuff, but it felt really great to bring it up.
Yeah, everyone was shouting, Erik, Erik, Erik. There was like a big chant throughout the center there.
Speaking as a spectator and a fan of Rings, I thought that final was magnificent. Like, it just showed so much of the nuance that is that Crane-Scorpion matchup so well. And, like trading cards, expending cards, and especially what you did where you held cards back for so many turns. Like, you held court games, you held for shames until the ultimate moment you needed them. And that matchup has a lot of moments like that. So from a spectator, it was such a fucking great game to watch. I just had such a good time.
Oh, man, it's fantastic. I was actually in the stands. I had the Twitch feed on my phone, so I had like my headphone in one ear, so I could hear MD and Frotop do the commentary. So I was getting the commentary, watching the game. It was a little bit delayed, but I felt like I was at the cricket, just in the stands. It was fantastic. It was a really great time to and you know what? The match, you couldn't have asked for a better final. It was a fantastic final. Johnny Shen, phenomenal player. You're obviously the phenomenal Crane, and it was just great Worlds.
After that, there was some pretty awesome pageantry, and I think they did it really well, where they brought up top of each clan and got them to select roles and the families for the story implications. Did you have like ideas going into that, what sort of role you'd choose, and did it hit you that you were the person that was going to decide, how Crane were going to be playing for the next few months, or was it just in the moment you kind of went with your gut?
So I think when I made it to the round of 8, I was the last Crane remaining. So I heard then that I would make the role choice. It was kind of weird because we had a poll, and I think everyone kind of agreed Secret Fire was the best initially, but that was before it was announced that Feast or Famine was getting restricted. And after that, a lot of people, maybe I think less than half, but still a lot of people, including a lot of very good players, thought that Secret Void would probably be just better because Pilgrimage is very good and you can still play another restricted card. So I hadn't really decided until after the finals ended what I was going to pick.
Wow.
And so what gave Seeker of Fire the edge? Why not Seeker of Void? What was slightly better about that role, you thought?
So in terms of the Crane deck, I think it was definitely more interesting. Like all the Void Roll locked cards are pretty much unplayable. And for Fire, you have the Imperial Librarian, who is a 2-cost 2/2 that gives everyone else +1 glory. So that seemed like an interesting option for Crane. And then also Icon of Favor seemed maybe reasonable, at least to test. So I think Fire was definitely more interesting. And then I talked to the other top of clans, and it turned out that taking Seeker of Void would kind of give a lot of other clans a bad role that they didn't want. So I picked Seeker of Fire mostly for that reason, I guess.
I heard that Alex Dunseth, aka Jokingly, he was standing there with a beer in one hand and his wallet in the other, and he was ready to throw money at you if you to pick the right role, because there's a lot riding on that for the crabs. The crabs would have been pretty destroyed.
I guess they
he was talking to Kingsley to not take Keeper of Water.
Hilarious. I mean, crazy. So Kingsley was seriously thinking about taking Keeper of Order, like the double keeper role for Dragon.
Yeah. I asked him what he would do if I picked Seeker of Void, and he said he was probably going to take Keeper of Water.
Yeah. There you go.
And MD told me the same thing earlier that day, so I believed him.
Oh, so last question about the whole Worlds thing, and then we'll talk about some non-World stuff. The story choice there's a lot of, it's one of the aspects of Legend of the Five Rings that I think isn't as evident in other card games. There's this whole story facet, and people get quite excited by it. You chose, I think, Kakita Kaizen as your story choice to go, and I'm not exactly sure what Kakita Kaizen was going to do. Can you remember what was the reason you chose Kaizen, and what was it that he was doing?
So what he's going to do is escort the husband of our clan champion to the Fox clan, where he is from, to ask for their aid against the filthy pirate Mantis.
Shade throwing.
Oh, I love this game, man. It brings that passion in people, you know? Filthy pirates.
That's one way to put it.
I love it. So Kaizen, you think's
Yeah.
best spot to make sure that you've got the Fox's aid against those dodgy pirates.
Yeah, so Kaizen will escort him there and keep him safe and things like that. And yeah, the reason I chose him is just because he's such a legend.
What makes Kaizen a legend? He didn't even make your deck. I don't think he did anyway.
No, he did. I had
He's in your deck?
two of him.
Oh wow! So yeah, did he get a lot of use?
I was going to say that I need that to be explained, right? Like, I don't understand that card at all.
Yeah, I don't know if I played him even once, but
Oh, that's the best.
Perfect.
But he's a legend, is he? I love it.
yeah, no, definitely. Like he's in there because there are no really great options for those last slots, or at least there weren't. And I think against Lion or against Unicorn, he can actually be pretty good.
That's true. It's good for like AOE, like wide character control. Cool.
Yeah, and I think his duel is kind of a much more interesting way to do duels, where you're like, the effect if you lose is not that you just get screwed really hard, like with Ballsy Debate or Retsugu or whatever.
Yeah, and I think,
So the bidding is way more interesting.
yeah, I agree, and I like seeing the Children of Emperor new set, or Children of the Empire. There's like the unicorn guy where, you know, if you lose, the loser goes home and the winner, you know, gets dragged into the battle. So it's kind of, you've got these two options and you're not really sure, like you can play mind games with your opponent and what you're actually trying to achieve. I do like the duels where the lose condition can actually be quite interesting and something you might be trying to achieve.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. So, we've got a few minutes left before we need to wrap up. There was some news around the traps. It's been a little bit quiet. At time of recording, we don't have the new restricted list. We assume that's coming out at some point soon, but Feast or Famine, not restricted yet. But very
I was a
soon.
little disappointed. I was a little disappointed with that they didn't just do it straight away.
Yeah.
Maybe there's other cards going on. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I think what they might be doing is looking for just a little bit of data around some of the new decks that are coming out with the new roles. It's always better to make, decisions with more data points.
just in case there's something crazy. Yeah. Well, hopefully I don't restrict Hurricane Punch, that new core component of Scorpion. Yeah, you guys will see. But there is a tournament that's being run, community-driven one, the Flashback tournament. So it's on Discord. You can go to the global Discord channel and have a look at the Discord League announcements. It's the 18th today, and today's your last day to get your deck in. But it's using the same rules that last year's Worlds used. So it's the first rolls, so rolls we haven't played with for a long time, and it's triple core, so it's just core set, and no restricted list. So it's going to be a fun, wacky tournament. I've regged Scorpion. Have you guys registered for that?
No, I'm not sure that I'm going to. I like the idea, but I'm not sure that I want to play that environment.
To be honest, man, like being a Lion guy at heart, it feels like if I don't play Lion, I'll get knocked out by some random Lion in the tournament. And if I do play Lion, it'll be like Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and Confused, like hanging out with high schoolers, like reliving my glory years, like hitting on high school girls, but back when I was a stud. But yeah, I think it's just a little too depressing for a Lion guy.
Yeah. I'm with that. I can't play without cute Nasawa. Sorry.
What about you, Eric? Are you registered? And how do you think Crane would do in core? I think they did it right at the Worlds.
Yeah, so I haven't registered yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to play. I think the idea is fun, but maybe... I mean, I already have a new deck to play with, so... I think Crane is probably fine. We have Keeper of Water, which is really pointless and bad.
It was a Keeper of Water.
Yeah, Crane had Keeper of Water.
What?
The John Urbanek, who was finalist in last year's Worlds, he was running like Perfect Gift and Displayer Powers in Crane. I think Phoenix Splash is pretty good.
Perfect Gift, man. What a card. Staple in so many decks, right?
Kingsley ran Phoenix Splash at last year's Worlds. Ended up in top 4, I think.
Phoenix is really strong as a splash. I encourage people who didn't experience the game in Tricord to go and play just for the fun of it, because it was a different game. In many ways, it was a little more balanced. Like, there weren't as many outrageous effects. Lion's Pride Brawler was the big bad. She was like the villain of the whole environment. Nowadays, there's way worse things like Mitsu and Tadaka. But it's a really fun environment. But I think for me, I'll abstain.
The old charge Taturi for greater glory nonsense.
Stop it, Ben! You get me all hot and bothered, mate.
That crab. Just have Casada, charge Casada.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Charge Casada, reprieve. See you later.
Good. Well, I've registered Scorpion anyway, and we'll see how that goes. So there's going to be a bit of a break for the normal global Discord League. That'll kick off again in January, which hopefully we'll see Children Empire. Who knows? But Bert, as the resident commissioner of the Australian Discord League, we got any updates? How's that tracking so far?
Well, I found it quite difficult while I was gallivanting around the United States to actually do my job as admin of that tournament. I think you and I both
dropped.
Have
Wi-Fi at the Grand Canyon.
I mean, they absolutely. I had internet the whole time. I'm not gonna lie. I just imbibed a lot of booze and I was doing a lot of other stuff, and it kind of I just didn't put in the effort, to be honest. And but I've just paired the next round, so pairings are up. You guys can go and check that out.
So we're week 5, but week 3 is up. I'm just looking. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players who are currently undefeated in the field. So the person who's on top is actually fellow roller Merlin. So you're currently just destroying. What are you running? You're running Phoenix, and of course you are. And you're about to fight Paddy. So Paddy's playing. So I'll just go through the top 6. Well, this is an Australian podcast. We should shout out our fellow Aussies. So Merlin, top seat. Stovey, who's a well-known Lion player here in Australia. He generally does very well at all the big tournaments.
You know, Stovey. Just a quick shout out to you, Stovey. You're the player that I've seen that's improved the most since I first started playing with you, man. Like, the last few games you've given me on Jigoku have been absolutely fierce. So shout out to you.
Yeah. So he's second. Then we've got Daidoji Suni. Apologies, don't recognise that handle. I'm sure
that's Adam. That's Adam Fry.
Oh, Adam Fry from Queensland.
Crane Hatamoto, mate.
Oh, mate, Adam he's a gentleman and a scholar, and his son is phenomenal.
His friend's son.
Oh, friend's son, of course, his friend's son. Yeah, but yeah, I met Adam at the Australian Kote. The Queensland scene has generally been pretty strong. In old 5R, and it seems like they've got a decent scene up there at their moment, and they definitely, when they came down this year for Koto, they gave us a run for our money, for sure. Then we got Kat, aka Cryptic Dragon, is in 4th.
Kat's from Adelaide. She played Dragon at Koto. She's a cool girl.
So it's good to see some other names up there too. And then we've got Paddy as the Paddy is the Dragon player in 5th. And Edwin, who's a Scorpion player in 6th. Edwin's he asks us questions sometimes on rollers, and is a great Scorpion player. So it's good.
And if you know us at all, you know that we're vain men, and anyone who asks us questions or interacts with us in any way, we respect and admire. So there you go.
So it should be some good match. How are you feeling about your matchup with Paddy, Merlin? So you've got to take on the Dragon.
I'm not sure. I don't think I've played Paddy before, to be honest. I'm not really sure what my approach to the match is going to be. I think I got lucky in my last round. I played against Dave, who's been out of it for a little while, so I think he didn't have a whole lot of practice. So I'm not really sure. I hadn't really thought about it today until the pairings went up.
All right. So in other big tournament news, there's been a bit of lull for the World Cup, as you know we had the World Physical Championships, but the Discord League World Cup we're up to bracket, and so that's going to be kicking off again very soon. So
Hey, Eric, did you Dutch boys make it through in the World Cup?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, nice. So
They
do you
get
know
a
who you're
bye.
playing yet, or has it not been posted?
I think we play Switzerland next.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's gonna be a good match.
So we're up to
Yeah.
top 8. We've got Netherlands versus Switzerland. And how are you feeling about Netherlands' shot? Do you think you guys have got a chance against the Swiss?
Yeah, definitely. I think we have 3 good players, so yeah.
Who's your who are your teammates?
It's my friend Nelson who plays Crane for our team, and then Joost plays Crab, and Constantine plays Scorpion.
Oh, cool.
That's quite a strong team there. All right, so we've got, and then there's Canada versus Germany, Singapore versus Sweden, and France versus Greece. So Sweden knocked out the United States of America.
Oh, EU greater than US again. Oh,
Just constantly. so yeah, we had a playing round which had a few matches where Switzerland knocked out Spain. The Russians got defeated by Germany. I think they did not play, maybe. They're in red for some reason, or disqualified. And then the Greeks beat Italy. So I think the Greek versus French match is going to be a great one to watch. I'm certainly looking forward to getting those streams back up and seeing those games. Should be
I would
fun.
love to cast one or
Yeah.
two, and I'll definitely
Yeah.
be watching for
And
sure.
the good thing is, part of the reason why they got delayed was to give a bit of space because lots of people were traveling for Worlds going to Minnesota, but also now the decks have had to be resubmitted, so they're now locked for the top 8 going onwards. But they're using the new rules, so the new roles, etc. So we will be this will be the first taste we'll see of the mini meta at a competitive level, because I guess this meta will last like a couple of months until Chill and the Emperor comes out. But it should be a fun marquee event in your global calendar. Okay, guys. Anything else that anybody wanted to just shout out before we head off there, rollers?
You got anything, Merlin?
Wow. The only thing that really came to mind, we were talking a little bit earlier about the story choice that Eric made for Crane, and it reminded me of a Jade Throne episode where they were talking through the various clan choices, and I thought that was really a very interesting episode. It was focused more on sort of story and hypothesizing about what some of these choices could mean. So maybe a shout out to them and go and have a listen to that episode. I thought it was really good.
Cool.
And maybe we probably haven't. Have we shouted out the Legend of the 5 or More podcasts thing?
Yeah, and in fact, you can go back and listen to it. We published it on our stream, so it was like 2 episodes ago. Merlin actually set up the whole like crazy, like how many podcasts were there? Like 6 or so.
Yeah, 6 this time. I think there were 7 last time.
Yeah, you did an amazing job engineering that thing. I have no idea how we managed.
Next time I'll
actually
remember to
record
bring two more mics.
I would like to shout out Minnesota and Roseville in particular. Thanks for your hospitality. Thanks for the amazing cuisine, especially for vegans, and go Vikings.
Yeah, go Vikings. Cool. All right. Well, Eric, you've been an absolutely fantastic guest. Thank you so much, and best of luck in Worlds defending your title next year.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hope to see you there.
No worries.
You will. You will.
All right. Cheers, guys, and till next week, we've been the Rollers.